Dolly Parton, dying Tuesday in Nashville, 80 years old. Her family said she went peacefully. And I want to talk about the part of her life that the eulogies are probably going to skip. Because for 40 years, she was effectively the most progressive person in America. And she did it without ever saying the word progressive. And look, right now, everybody's a fan, including Donald Trump, including people who spent the last decade calling every single thing she did woke. So let's put the real record on the table. Not just her songs, her record. Start with a shoebox back in 1995. Sevier County, Tennessee, one of the poorest counties in the state, where her own daddy never learned to read. So she started mailing a free book every month to every kid in the county from birth to age 5. No income test, no paperwork, just a free book with your name on it. That's the Imagination Library. And as of this year, it's in all 50 states, Canada and the UK, Ireland, and Australia. It mails more than 3 million books a month. It's given away over 200 million in total. Governors, red and blue, put it in their state budgets because it works. Illinois, Ohio, Oklahoma, Montana. It's a federal literacy program. Just without the federal government, Dolly Parton did it on her own. Before that, back in '88, she went into the schools in her home county, where the dropout rate was 35%. She told the 7th and 8th graders that she would give them $500 if they finished high school. The dropout rate went down to 6%. Giving cash to poor kids conditional on them finishing school. 2016, when the wildfires tore through Gatlinburg, she didn't do a benefit and leave. She gave every family that lost a home $1,000 a month for 6 months, no strings attached. The My People Fund. Her telethon raised more than $9 million more. In 2020, she wrote a $1 million check to Vanderbilt for coronavirus research. That money helped fund the trial for the Moderna vaccine. Her name is literally on the paper in the New England Journal of Medicine. And when she got her shot, she sat in the chair and sang, "Vaccine, vaccine, vaccine, vaccine," to the tune of Jolene, on camera in a state that would end up firing its top vaccine official 4 months later, just for suggesting that teenagers get their shot.
Vaccine, 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 vaccine. I'm begging of you, please don't hesitate.
In 2022, Dollywood started paying 100% of tuition and books for every employee. Part-time, seasonal, full-time, didn't matter from day one. 11,000 people. The kid working the funnel cake stand now can get a degree. And then the thing she said, because she did pick her spots, but when she picked them, she didn't miss. 2018, she quietly took the word Dixie off of her dinner show. That's 2 years before anybody else in country music did. When they asked her why, she said, quote, "As soon as you realize something's a problem, you should fix it. Don't be a dumbass," end quote. 2020, when the country was on fire over George Floyd, Billboard asked her about Black Lives Matter, and she said, "Of course Black Lives Matter. Do we think our little white asses are the only ones that matter? No." She was for gay marriage before most Democrats in the Senate were. She'd look out at a crowd of drag queens dressed as her and change the words to drag queen, drag queen, drag queen, drag queen, please don't take my man. And when the church people complained, she said, and I'm quoting, "All these good Christian people that are supposed to be such good Christian people, the last thing we're supposed to do is judge one another. God is the judge, not us," end quote. I've got to ask you guys, what was the big Dolly moment for you? The song, the books, the vaccine, the drag queens? Or the thing that you found out about her this week that you did not know? And is there another public figure alive that could pull off all of that in a red state without getting run out of her own hometown? Now, the part that they'll definitely leave out, the Medal of Freedom. The Trump White House has offered it to her twice. She turned it down twice. The first time she said that her husband was sick and COVID was the issue the second time. But then she said this, quote, "Now I feel like if I take it, I'll be doing politics," end quote. Barack Obama went on Colbert and said it was a screw up that he never gave Dolly one. She had 2 chances to stand in the East Room next to a man who mocks people for a living. She said she'd rather stay in Pigeon Forge and mail her books. And her one rule about politicians from her own song a couple of years ago, quote, "Greedy politicians, present and past, they wouldn't know the truth if it bit them in the ass." That's her platform. She didn't need to say she was a progressive. She didn't need to say she was part of a party. She simply put her money where her mouth was. And one more story, because it's the one that explains a lot to me. 1974, Elvis wants to record I Will Always Love You. At the time, she's a 28-year-old. So it could be the biggest thing ever to happen in her career. And the night before the session, Colonel Parker calls and says Elvis records it only if he gets half of the publishing. Half of her song. Dolly Parton cried all night long. And then she said no. She waited 18 years to see Whitney Houston recording her song. And Dolly said she made enough money off of that one song to buy Graceland. That's the tough spirit. That's that woman. Don't sign your work over to the powerful man, no matter how big the room is. Own your stuff. And then compare her to the billionaires who spend their money on think tanks and real tanks. And tell me, who's the real radical there? Look, Dolly Parton never told you who to vote for, but she spent 40 years showing you what a government could look like if it loved you back. Independent media, we survive on your interactions, so leave a comment about what Dolly meant to you and a like for anybody still covering the record instead of just her rhinestones. She'd want the comments to be nice, so let's keep it clean down there.